lot of young people in Africa start sex at a very early age.
My mother told me never to allow anyone see my pants.
Women are not asexual. You must have sex with a man.
Biggest contributors to the GDP in Africa are
Women have a choice to choose if and when I want to have children, how many children I want, and I have the right to choose if I want an abortion or not.
That
I believe that at that age, okay?
What age? What age?
Let's say the teens.
What should be the age of consent?
Let's say between 10 to 18.
In your opinion, what?
Yeah, I'm asking myself, how do they come to know about sex? I think that's absolutely rubbish.
Hi, my name is Zonziwa. I'm from Cameroon.
Hello, my name is Victor Asugu. I'm from Kenya.
Hi, my name is Fadi Kemi. I came from Daring. I'm from Nigeria.
Irene Adine from Nigeria.
Hi, Claude Boyari from Kenya.
Subject on abortion in Africa is embedded in traditions and religious belief. How do young people in the continent tackle this controversial subject? I'm now joined by a distinguished guest here from across the continent. On my right here is Irene. Irene, what's your take on this subject on abortion?
Thank you very much, George, for the opportunity. My take on this controversial topic is really very simple. I know that most countries within the African continent do not really support abortion. Okay, and in my country, for example, Nigeria, where I come from, abortion is not legalized. But then I think that there are cases where we need to give opportunities for young people. I'm really here conversing for young people, not the older people who have responsibilities. I mean, they are matured enough to take decisions on their own. No, I'm talking about those who still live under informed decisions, especially the adolescents. You know, I think that they should give them considerations, especially in cases where they fall victims to rape and other social vices or harassment. I work with young people. I go to schools and also go to slums in communities. And most times I see like a 13, 14 years old come up to me and say, oh, sometimes it's not even them. They are telling me about their friend. Like, auntie, so-and-so friend of mine did not come to school today because over the weekend or something, like maybe a month ago she was raped, and unfortunately she realized that she's now pregnant, and she doesn't want to come back to school, and she doesn't want to keep the baby, but she doesn't know what to do. And the thing is, we always want to force these young people to settle for what they do not want. And I'm saying that if we are youth leaders and the UN is here to advocate for the rights of young people, then why can't we also advocate in this light to help young?
You think the UN should be advocating for abortion, or
I'm saying we CSOs and other youth leaders and other international bodies that are into this. I think that if we are all about defending the rights of humans, then this is one right we can also help to defend. Because looking at the situation where this young person, okay, did not call for it. She was most of them are even virgins, okay, when this thing happened to them. I know they are not ready to be mothers. I think you have the right to be a mother, okay, and right not to be a mother.
Do you think a woman should have a right as well to abort a baby?
That is what I'm saying. A young girl who do not want to be a mother. I'm not really saying that abortion should be legalized, but I am saying that in a case of a young woman who was raped and peradventure she got pregnant in the process, and she's not ready to be a mother yet, because I think she has a right.
But what choice would she have? If
she can be given a safe abortion.
A safe abortion.
Yeah. So my own campaign is, let's create a safe abortion center for exceptional cases like this.
Okay.
But I am not saying that abortion should be legalized, because that's another thing on its own.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. That's fine. Thank you very much, Irene. Claude, let's bring you in there. Get a man's perspective on that. Yeah. Do you think abortion should be legalized? Let's start with that.
Well, abortion. When you're talking about abortion, you're talking about an issue that is very emotive in the African society. And when you go to our traditional roots and cultures, you realize that abortion, our culture doesn't want abortion. Our tradition doesn't cater for abortion. Yeah? It is a taboo and no go zone. So my personal take on abortion is that, of course, there's this aspect of also the conceived child. What is the rights of the child? Yeah, as opposed to that of the woman. Yeah. So when we are looking at abortion and we want to legalize it, then we have to weigh the balance, because at the father's end, an argument can come in that well, that is terminating a life. That is a life that could have been for what we might know.
But you know, some people will argue that a life that doesn't exist as yet.
Well, there was that debate even when we were promulgating our constitution in our country. Does life really begin at conception, or does it begin when that person is born? Yeah. So the religious people who are also disgruntled and opposed, very vehemently opposed to the issue of abortion, say that when you conceive, that is already a life. Yeah? So why terminate that life? Yeah?
That's very interesting that he's saying that, because I find it funny that we're talking about the life of the child, or we forget about the human being, the life of that woman that is bearing that child. And who's to say that the life of that child, which hasn't technically started, is more valuable than my life
That is already existing.
You know, and the fact is that we need to remember that women should have choices. In Nigeria, for example, abortion accounts for majority of the maternal death, and this actually occurs primarily amongst young people. We have cases in 2006 of 760,000 women dying as a result of what? Abortion. Why? Because women's choices are taken away from them. Why should I have a child if I don't have the resources to? I don't even see abortion as being only acceptable in the context of rape. I feel that it should be my right, it should be my decision as a woman to be able to decide if and when.
Well, would that be a reason why you should have safe sex, for example? You don't get pregnant in the first place.
George, look at it from this perspective. Right from 1994, during the ICPD, there was recognition by different African governments that abortion was an issue of concern, and each and every government was called upon that they need to look at the policy framework. In 1995, during the 4th World Conference on Women, it was again the same discussion that the governments need to repeal those punitive laws that restrict women from accessing safe and legal abortion. Now, we are here talking as young people. So what future do we see in Africa? And we're talking of demographic dividends. So how do you bring in demographic dividends while Africa has the worst health indicators on maternal mortality and morbidity? And a lot of maternal deaths are as a result of unsafe abortion. So look at the context of Kenya. We're saying our constitution...
Are there any mechanisms in Africa or in Kenya where it can support, safe abortion?
Okay, fine. Section 26, subsection 4 of our constitution says that abortion is illegal, but it is only legal in the perspective that of a trained health professional, the life and the health of the mother is in danger. Now, this repealed our penal code, which only talked of the life of the mother. But if you look at the definition of World Health Organization in terms of health, then that gives a very good ground. The same constitution also says that, if in any other written law, so that means there is an opportunity. But that is not even issue here. The issue is when I work in the rural context, I find so many young girls, people who hold the future of my nation and the future of Africa, are dying because of unsafe abortion. Why don't we then have a safe legal abortion?
It's not because they don't have access to better medical facilities that can assist them to have safe abortion.
Okay, I'll give you, for example, the contraceptive uptake in Kenya is very low. And you're talking of 15 to 19 young people in Kenya who account for 36% of pregnancies in the whole country. Those are very, very young people, but they don't have access to contraceptives. So we need one to avail access to contraceptives where young people can be able to access.
And affordable ones.
Yes, and affordable ones. Second, we need to have comprehensive youth-friendly centers that offer sexual and reproductive health and rights services.
And third, we need to have comprehensive sexuality education in schools, so that and out of school, so that young people can make informed decisions.
Let's bring it down. So you've been listening to the other speakers. What's the situation like in Cameroon?
It's not very dissimilar from what they've explained here. In Cameroon also, abortion could only be done given that the life of the mother is in danger, and by
That is in the constitution.
in the constitution.
Yeah, but what about the facilities? What I'm interested in is the medical facilities. Are they hospitals or places where people can have safe abortion?
Safe abortion. It's actually very complicated, because who are these skilled personnel we are talking about? What are these facilities we are talking about? Because if you go to the general hospital, they will tell you, yes, we have the facilities, but you need an authorization in order for us to perform these.
An authorization from?
You need an authorization which is legalized and given by the consent as well of the persons involved, that the life of this mother is at stake before the woman goes through the process of abortion. But again,
therefore, if a woman is pregnant, the man that pregnant the woman has to give a consent or authorization?
Yes, the man too has to give a consent.
That's complicated. That's really complicated.
But the thing here is, we are all tilted towards the aspect of, the life of the mother is in danger. Now, what are the criteria to know the life of the mother is in danger? Because emotionally disturbed, being the fact that she is pregnant is also risky.
And the health concerns
of the mother. So there is a lot of things involved in this area which we've been debating about it. But again, it remains illegal, and that's the reason why you see most young people, from a research that recently conducted in Yaoundé, between the ages of 15 to 24, 1 in 5 has
carried an abortion.
And in very unsafe.
Yes, Claude, you're going to come in there.
Yes, I had an issue with
Kenny.
It's fine.
We are talking about doing abortion, women procuring an abortion vis-a-vis the life of a child. Then, when you're looking at that context, you also have to look at the choices, the choices that these women make. If they're not ready for that baby, why go for that baby at that particular time? Yeah, you're looking at that, and also in
why have unsafe sex in the first place?
Women are not asexual. You must have sex with a man.
Just a moment.
Women are not asexual. It's the responsibility of people.
In Kenya, the high rate of abortion cases are among married women.
And you know why? Why? Because the traditional setup has said a woman should always satisfy the man whenever he wants it. And this woman might be unsafe and doesn't want and is not ready.
And the man refuses to use contraception.
Okay, let's
traditional and religious belief.
Anyways, there is another point I want to take this discussion to. Okay, most of the time I'm thinking outside the box as it relates to the young people, because they are still my bone of contention here. A 10 years old, 12 years old, 13 years old, okay, gets pregnant. He or she. Okay, but now we're talking about the female. She got exposed to sexual intercourse and she got pregnant in the process. At 10, at 11, at 12, are we saying that we should allow a little child that age give birth to another child? To me, it's like child raising a child. Someone who is still so very immature.
Well, we can say that teenage pregnancy is another topic that we can take. We can talk another day. But I think on this.
So that is the reason why I am saying that there should be a review of our policy. Okay, to help made this
But it's
situation.
tradition.
That is it. Tradition. The traditional leaders, the religious leaders are human beings, okay? And they are also exposed to information. That is why I said the CSOs, the international bodies, we all have a
The
role
civil
to
society
the civil
organizations.
society. We have a role.
Jenny, you were going to say you contest Claude's idea of the choices that women make, but that's a valid point.
It's a valid point, but the thing is that my statement here is that women don't have sex by themselves. We're not plants. Women have sex with men. You understand? And that is how they get pregnant. Yes. And so responsibility should be on both parties. It shouldn't be a woman's responsibility to prevent pregnancy. It must be the two in partnership. One of the main reasons why young people go and procure abortion is majority because of the shame and stigma around being an unmarried mother.
But should we not be talking now about the traditions and religious beliefs that are so embedded in our
saying.
society?
But our
We're talking about
traditional and that is it.
I mean,
The traditional and the religious
let's
beliefs.
go.
let's look at this, George. I mean, we have traditions, but we also know that there are those traditions that are outdated. And here we are talking about, we take a human rights approach in terms of looking at sexual and reproductive health and rights. Is abortion not part of human rights? Why are we not expanding, the space and giving choices for women to be able to procure safe and medical and legal abortion and affordable? Why are we still embedded in those traditions? Why are we having retrogressive political discussions of saying we are killing somebody, and are we not killing this person because of instances of maternal mortality? And more importantly, we all recognize in the African context that the greatest contributors to the GDP in Africa are women.
Thank you.
So you think women should be protected to help?
Yeah, they should be protected to contribute more aggressively to the development in
Make the
Africa.
choice they want about their life.
Okay. Now, what we're talking about.
You have to look at how did you reach towards abortion. Okay. Now I want to tell you a story. If you go to a river, and when the river flows, you see a basket, and in that basket you realize that there's a baby inside. What do?
What will you do? You pick
What
your
do?
answer.
You go and pick the baby out to rescue. That is what we will naturally do. Yeah. Then what if you see another basket flowing down the river? You also go and pick it. Then another one comes in. So we need to look at the root cause. Abortion has come. But what is the root cause of abortion? How can we prevent abortion? Yeah? I agree. Self-abortion,
Unsafe sex.
and self-sex, not good. Contraceptives, good. So how do we then try and educate comprehensive sexuality education in schools to that 12-year-old child?
This comes down to education. I was just bringing it there because your organization primarily work in educated people on this. Now, tell us a little bit about your work and then in relation to what he's saying. Education is the thing. People are not informed.
I think the thing is that people need to understand their bodies and to be able to understand their own rights as human beings. And one of the things that my organization does is actually work with young people, work with the government to implement comprehensive sexuality education in schools, but also work with the Ministry of Youth to implement sex education for those out of school. Because you see, majority of our young people in Nigeria and in Africa are out of school. And the reality is that we need to also make sure that they as well are having information. But education is not enough. People, the healthcare workers need to also be educated. Do you understand? The religious leaders, the communities need to be educated so that they have the right understanding and the right approach when it comes to these issues. Religion, everybody in Africa, we are religious people. And the reality is that we need to realize that religion is a personal choice. And you cannot enforce your religion on my personal choice. I have a choice to choose if and when I want to have children, how many children I want, and I have the right to choose if I want an abortion or not.
Just to buttress that point, okay? Well, at the last ICPD youth conference that took place in Ghana, I was privileged to meet with Professor Sai. Okay, he's about
Sai.
89 years old, and he's commonly called the godfather of family planning. Okay, he said
Why is he
something
called the godfather of family?
because he was the one who
Championing it.
Yes, who championed this
That's-
policy.
okay.
You know, while he was still young, like us. You know, and he said something very remarkable. He said the problem that we have most of the time as we do our jobs is that we want to always let our religious beliefs, okay, take over our professional works. You know, he says that he's a Christian and he never takes his Christianity away from his job. But at the same time, his Christian beliefs does not completely counteract some things that is important in his profession. Okay, he said something about contraceptives, how that the Catholics, many other Christian associations fought contraception and all that. But he took to still buttress Claude's point. He saw it as a way, you don't want abortion, okay, why don't you prevent it? And if you don't want to take up the mechanisms that have been set in place to prevent it, so what do you want?
I think we're talking. I think at the level at which we will be talking is being on the level that we have the education.
I mean, George, let's take this. I mean, if you look at abortion, we need comprehensive abortion care. And comprehensive abortion care entails what they are talking about education, that is at one level. And in the event that pregnancy has occurred and all this need for determination, what do? You go again to education, and this is still a 12-year-old young lady who is pregnant and they're having all these complications. You go for education, and what do we do with those people who have procured abortion? We have that situation of post-abortion care. So it's an entire package that we have to look at proactively. The religious leaders need to play their role in their context of information embedded on their beliefs.
Yeah. What do you think government should be doing then? What do you think government should be doing?
The government has the sole mandate of ensuring that one, there's adequate number of trained health professionals who can carry out, who are sensitive to the young people's needs and can be able to procure safe and medical abortion. Secondly, the government also has a mandate to ensure that the health facilities are accessible by young people and they are friendly and they respond to their sexual and reproductive health needs. Not that I want to go to a health center where I want to procure abortion or I have an STI and I'm lined with 40, 50 young women who are...
Let's bring Claude in there and then we'll move on to another.
I normally have an issue with us going to the government to help us.
You have an issue with going to the government.
Change starts with us, individual change. If we want to eradicate an issue, why call on the government? Yes, calling on the government is right.
But the government has its mandate.
But then, George, we are talking about tradition. Will that change traditions? At the end of the day, we have to look at that. Will that change tradition? And
Can government change?
And another thing, I wanted to talk about the issue of education, comprehensive. We were talking about education and what it is. Now, why not target also the parents?
The parents, yes.
Yeah, there's a story of a young girl who the parent told the young girl that don't ever let a man see your pants. Yeah. And
They're telling the mother or the father?
The mother told the young girl, never let a man see your pants. And then this young girl went around and got a boyfriend for herself. Then on one occasion the boyfriend said, let's go home and enjoy ourselves and have sex. Oh, then the young lady remembered, oh, mother told me never to allow any man see my pants. The young girl went home, rushed home, removed the pants and left the pants home. Went to the man and had sex at the end of the day. It is how we package our education, the information. If parents don't speak it out, if we don't speak it out, then we want the government at that facility to go and talk about it. Then they might not get the adequate information that they need.
To make these informed choices.
Let's look at the issue on the fact that a lot of young people in Africa start sex at a very
Yes, that's what I
early
want to
age.
talk about.
Now,
That's what I wanted to say.
there you go.
Yes. I was going to say that I know this is sound a bit controversial. I am not in support of young people, at 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 already having sex. I know that.
A 24-year-old having sex. What is your acceptable age?
I'm happy I am raising up this. I knew I was going to set this whole place on fire.
What's the definition of
your age?
Okay, because I believe that at that age, okay.
What age?
Let's say the teens.
What should be the age of consent?
Let's say between 10 to 18.
In your opinion, what is the age
in
of
my
consent?
opinion, between 10 to 18. Why am I saying this? One, because I know that first of all, I'm a Christian, okay? And I'm not saying I don't want to go Christian now because I just mentioned what Professor Sally said. I know that the whole story about fornication and all that scripturally is wrong and everything. But at the same time,
not in support of
yes,
contraception.
and I know that at the same time, we as CSOs are also here to advocate for human rights.
Are
And
you
then we
in
say
support
that
of
young
contraception
people,
as a Christian?
if they want to have sex, they can have sex. Yes, I'm in support. Young people, if they want to have sex, wait, I'm coming. Yes, I'm coming. I'm getting somewhere. I'm getting somewhere.
We're waiting for you.
Well, yes, and I will land sharply. Why I really don't believe that young people between that age bracket should be involved in sex is because they are living under informed decision. And most times they are the ones prone to a lot of these social high mobility and maternal death rates and all that. They are the ones prone to it because why? Their sexual reproductive organ really has not been fully formed. Remember, they're in their puberty stage. They're not really adults yet. It's a transitional stage from childhood to adulthood. Okay? So at that stage, a lot of things, they are delicate, so to speak, and they shouldn't be exposed to these kind of things yet. I will still say that abstinence is the best contraceptive. Between that age bracket.
Just one thing.
Let me ask you something. How do they know about sex? How do they know about sex? No, but like we're talking about education and information, okay? You said something very beautiful. No, how do they know about sex? I'm getting there. These kids are exposed to.
Can you respond to my question?
They are exposed to a lot of things, okay? Even the adults, they copy. The media, they copy. Magazines, they copy. They watch. So they know a lot. Even in schools, at times, they have been taught. So you see why they. What I'm saying is, from the same basic stage, our homes, in schools, in churches, in their traditional clans or wherever they belong to, they can be given the right information, the right education, that there is time for everything. So by that time, they will experiment. No, there is something I want to understand. To me, from what I understand, you say you're not for the view that at this certain age, young people should get involved in sexual activity. Abstinence is what I still teach. And for me, first, I'm asking myself, how do they come to know about sex in the first place? Because they have been viewing things from, let me say, media, without any proud information, and they want to experiment these things. You get it? But
is it not a good thing that you're informed? If you are informed,
from a very tender age, you get it. So you get into relationship with an informed mind. And trying to counter what she's saying on my own part, I do not say I'm against, you understand? Instead, I'm standing for the fact that young people should be given the right knowledge so that they can make the right decision. That is what I'm saying. In other words,
one thing here we have to look at is we're talking of sexual and reproductive health rights, and then we also have we're putting some cap on sexual and reproductive health and rights of the those who do. But what we need to realize is, if you look at the sexual health for the millennium, goal number 8 talks about enjoying sexual pleasure. So are we going to say that we have a restricted way of young people having the sexual pleasure? And why don't we then expand this, as she has been saying, age-appropriate sexuality education? That is at one level. What happens at another level? And I will give you the Kenyan situation. We are talking of young people, 7 out of 10 girls and 8 out of 10 boys have had sex before the age of 20. And a lot of
the age of 20. What's the age of consent in Kenya?
It's around 16, but that is moving towards 18. You see, but the sexual debut now in Kenya is even going lower. It's coming to around 12 to 13.
Is there an age of consent in Nigeria?
I think it's 18, but the
Yeah.
fact is that the
At
age at
13.
which people are
18.
having sex now, it's even as low
At
as like
13.
10, 11.
But again, it goes down to tradition as well because it's a recent case in Nigeria.
I mean, let me just say,
Get married, yes. But you see what happened is that, there's a lot of controversy around that with,
But that's
people-
tradition.
It's religion.
let me just
That's
say something
religion.
on tradition,
Okay.
John.
Yeah.
John. If you look at most African contexts, there was actually sexuality education. Why? You will see the young boys going with their grandparents in a setting to have all this education, and the ladies going with their aunties or grandmothers. But then we need to ask ourselves as a continent, then where did we lose these critical values, and where did we where did we lose all this, and how can we revisit this? Because we are now
And there could be an argument that was an old.
it was old, but
But if we're holding on to tradition, why didn't we hold on to that? Digitize to select.
Let me chip in.
It's the same thing we do in religion.
Let's hear what.
Let me chip in into the discussion. Our young people are getting into early sexual DPO.
Yeah.
Why are they getting into it? You realize that something illegal is sweet. Illegal is sweet.
What do you mean by
It's the same.
illegal? What is illegal?
What he means is something that is unacceptable.
That is why I
Taboo.
talk about packaging. Yeah?
Okay.
When a parent comes and tells the child that this one is not for use, pointing at the
wrong and the right.
at the sexual organs, this is not supposed to be used this way. You will try very curiosity,
Yeah.
very curious, and then that affects. I want to bring it back to abortion. We were talking about abortion, and we have gone way into contraceptive. There's this young child. I was in a hospital, and there was this young girl who had done actually an unsafe, that is not safe, an unsafe abortion. I asked her how he did all this. Then he told me he took a bicycle wire and took it and put it inserted inside through the cervix. Imagine. And then after that, all hell broke loose, bleeding and everything. She was almost dying until she was rushed to the hospital, just because that girl wasn't ready for that, for having a baby.
What do you think must have pushed out to you guys? That it's not because there's a lack of perhaps.
One, it is because of tradition. Remember, George, I'm continuously referring to tradition. Yeah. Then how can we break this yoke of tradition? It is through education that you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah. Education. Although it might be hard. I was the other week. I was in a community. We went to talk about comprehensive abortion care and post-abortion care and family planning. And then when I reach there, I'm told, no, you're not going to talk about abortion or anything related to abortion. Yet it is happening. It is along the sugar belt.
So what was preventing you from not talking about that? Is that tradition, or is that because the people they're not open to education?
One is because it is happening, but they just don't want to talk about it. It's a taboo. We have that mindset that this is wrong, and that is why when you go back to our roots, our traditional roots, when you're told go straight, bank right, and follow that direction, and you see what happens, then you grow up knowing that you have to go that direction, you have to bank right. You have to go that direction, you have to bank right. Yeah. We are never told why.
Exactly.
Yes. On that point, let me move you on on this question. There is an aspect of an argument that the whole abortion notion in the African context is a subscribed or prescribed idea. What do you think of that?
By the Western world, is that the perception?
That's on the line.
See, I think that's absolutely rubbish. To be honest with you, I think prior to even globalization, in our traditions and our culture, people had already been performing abortions.
Yeah.
I was in a rural community in Cross River State about 2 weeks ago, and young people were showing me the different herbs that you can actually use to either insert into the vagina or to mix and take as a concoction to be able to expel the fetus. And so this isn't something that the Western world came to give us. It's not packaged in a pill. This is something found around our communities. So that means there were times in the past where people were actually having, abortions. But the fact is that now all of a sudden, because somebody is bringing some gruesome pictures into our faces and people are playing on the issue of we're not aware, we're religious, who is to say, I ask people that are religious and say this a lot, which life do you value? The girl that goes, takes up a bottle of Coke, grinds it, mix it with salt, mix it with Panadol and drinks it and dies, or the child or the fetus or the unborn child that died?
What alternative does the girl have though? What alternative does she have?
In Africa, no, the alternatives are slim. Because is it in the context of poverty where majority of us, 70% in Nigeria, live below $1 a day? How is it possible that I, as a person, high school is over? More than likely her parents will disown her.
Yeah.
The boy will not marry her. And she has to now fend for herself. Some of these girls have to even resort to sex work to be able to cater for themselves. We've met many girls. And if she drops out of school, she can never return. So that means that her economic potential is basically cut off right there.
Okay. In Africa, a lot of family planning is being done by UNFPA, but there is also the promotion of large families in Africa. High fertility.
I think there's one thing. I mean, when in those olden days we had land which was idle and people could
resources were
available. But look at it. Land has remained constant. It's not expanding by any chance. But we are having larger families. But then what we need to realize is, what we need to ask ourselves as a continent is, are we having larger families? Are we going to give quality of life to the children? Where do we see them in 2063 in Africa? Where do we see these people? And then if you look at it, the poor people have more children than the rich people. Why? Because we take sex for consolation. And we think that is the best way, and we think we want to vote so and so in power, and that is an argument that has been floated over and over in Kenya. But what you need to ask yourself, if you look at it from political aspect, is if I give birth to my child today, they will vote 18 years later. That is one. So we are living in a very patriarchal society where men decide for women that we now need to space children or that. But then on the other side we say women have choices and they've reached a given level. So we are giving restrictions. We move forward, then we move backward 2 steps behind. We must open that discussion. If women want to go for contraception, it is their choice. My wife, girlfriend, fiancé, or whoever, or my sister does not need to come and console me that, Victor, I need contraception. They don't need. Come on, go ahead and have it, because it is your life. So we need to look at this, and we need to tie all this into the development and the different economic blueprints in Africa. And that is where we need to look at, and we need to say, if we want Africa to be an economic hub, let's invest in the lives of young people, let's invest in the maternal, the maternal.
We shouldn't have large families.
No, we shouldn't have large families.
Individual, it's not about not having large families. It's up to these individual families. But what we should emphasize on is whether they have the right information to make these decisions for themselves.
And remember,
children, take care of the children. It's not enough to have children, you have to be able to take care of them.
Okay. Now, how do we make sure that we invest in women? How? The key thing I need to tell us is information is very key. Yeah? When you want, how many women are informed as you are? You need to ask yourself. Then you realize that statistics show that a higher percentage of people who are enlightened about these issues are middle class
people who earn.
Is that because they have the access to the information?
They have the access.
But is that not what civil society organizations
can
ask?
afford.
If you go,
people should-
They can afford to have the access to this information.
They can access.
Yeah. Then if you go down to the grassroots, the community now. I keep on talking about the grassroots. Now, if you go to the grassroots, nobody knows. Huh? No one even knows what the constitution says about
Abortion.
their
Abortion
rights,
or
abortion, contraception, their right to choice. Women don't know about these things. Yes,
But there's also an argument that it's also human right to have sex, isn't it? So,
it is true. It's a human right to have sex. I mean,
so what's the problem then that the people that
It's a
get
human
lashed
right
with,
to
you
have
know,
sex,
get
but I
pregnant?
think there is a lot of things that we have human rights to. But I also believe that there is just a good time for everything. I'm still not.
I'm very confused with you. at
Yes,
times
don't be
because-
confused with me because I think right now it looks like I'm contradicting myself, but not really. Because what I'm saying is I think that still coming to that intelligence in secondary school, and then they go
You know,
into
sex education
yes, so they get to like 18.
What age would they start
If they
educating them?
know, yes, if
What
they,
age would you promulgate on? You know,
from
to
primary
educate?
school, let's say from like
5 years old?
yes, thereabouts. Yeah, from primary school, immediately after the
have
nursery.
to-
I have a daughter and
There
I
is
started
something
now.
I want you to
She's 18
But you know what's fine. So when you start, let me beautiful. Like hear me. I like that. Start as early as possible, as the child can start knowing or hearing or moving or something. But this is where I'm going to. If we start that way, okay, if we, the CSOs, international bodies, everybody, we start to inform these children very early, they grow up knowing this, and we're letting them know the consequences of their sexual behavior, okay, that will not be pleasing to their own future and ambition. Because remember that these young people, we're educating them because we want them to come and increase the development in future, okay. So if we let them know a lot of things are at stake, and they get to know that okay, abstinence is still the watchword. I'm getting somewhere. It means that
I think what you're trying to
it
say
means
is
that there is a
education part.
tendency that abortion that we're talking about now we might not really be like me. I'm bothered about abortion as it relates to young people.
Yeah.
I might not be sitting here again because it may have drastically reduced from like maybe 100 to about 5%.
Let me
Okay, do you get what I'm trying to
Promote
say?
sex education.
Yes,
Please, let me
yes,
come in.
that's my own. Yeah.
Steve, research has shown that in society, because everything is political, all this education we are talking about, it's
There has to be a political will, yeah, of course.
You get it?
Yes.
And once the society, I mean, or the country legalizes abortion, from statistics, for instance, like in South Africa, I heard when abortion was legalized, it drastically reduced to 91%. In US, the same. In another country, the same thing. So why not
But do you know that abortion can never be safe? Do you know that?
How can it not be
When I
safe?
mean abortion can, do you know even the gynecologist, the trained specialized medical doctors will tell you there is never a time that a woman will go through that operation that they will tell you that it is 100% the safe thing to do.
We are talking
Therefore,
about
very good.
Because one health is still in it's still not like 100% certain that you go through there and come out.
Is there any safe abortion procedures?
And abortion can never be 100% safe.
yes, there is.
Okay, now
procedure.
in Cameroon, well, I won't be speaking here now like a trained medical personnel.
Exactly.
But I believe that if it is being carried out by personnel that are trained, it would be safe. I believe so.
But are there any safe mechanisms everywhere?
I will tell you that there is no medical doctor that will take someone in an operation that will tell you that is 100%
There are several methods in which a person can receive safe abortion. There are also in the hospitals. There's also even now drugs
As we are
that you
here,
can take
you
to
can
even
take-
take pills. RU486. Are
you telling me they don't have side effects?
Everything that is not the point.
That is what I'm still my point. I'm looking at the young
Even life,
to expose them. Okay, let's assume a younger gets pregnant 3 times in a year, and then she goes through safe abortion.
But the thing is
She
that
gets pregnant again the next year, she goes through safe abortion. By the time she's 20 or 21, let's just see all of this was happening to her in her teenage age. What would become of her?
The reality is that nobody is saying that people look. First of all, anybody that goes to let me just tell you what is happening. When a person goes,
information from the young people.
just give me a second,
Let's get me coming.
And I'm speaking authoritatively on this. I don't want to mention organizations because of the legal implications
Yes,
of
of course,
Nigeria.
they have to.
But the thing is that like there are places in Nigeria where you can go and be able to receive safe abortion. And one of the requirements of the essential package of service is that when you actually get that the counselor sits with you and explains to you all the different contraceptive choices you have, so you do not have to come back again to have an abortion. Because the reason why you had abortion in the first place was because you did not have
The information.
protected sex. You didn't have the information. So they counsel you there and they show you all the different contraceptive methods.
information and education.
Which do you prefer? Is it IUCDs? Is it pills? Is it condoms? Is it female condoms?
exactly.
You pick something. You understand? That suits your lifestyle, that suits your needs. And what happened is that we realize that many people that come, you understand, to the professional place to not come back for abortions again, because other than that, they will not even have anywhere else to access those contraceptions. Do you understand what I'm saying? So the reality is that nobody ever removes abortion from access to contraception. They must go hand in hand.
Another thing is that
Contraception is not a
if you say that you're not going to
Options
teach
for children.
our children, when Irene talks about they are still young, these people up to the age until the age of 9, at 9 years old, those people are already engaging in
Yeah,
sexual
that's what I'm
activity.
saying, because they were ill-informed before time.
They already have the
That's what I'm saying.
information.
I'm confused.
So number one, good. I want us to move to a way forward. About all this. What do we want to achieve? One, we want these people to be educated.
That's my
Key.
point.
Number one,
From
education.
childhood.
As we find an entry point to our governments, which is very, I've tried it.
Education,
I've done
and when you talk about educated,
Yeah.
people being educated, young people being educated
Yes.
in the context of abortion or sex education.
adequate, comprehensive. When I talk about comprehensive, you don't leave anything behind. Because if you leave anything behind, if you don't teach them about abortion, yes, we might not.
But comprehensive
we might not-
education, if somebody will say that I get comprehensive education, I do biology in school and
No, that is not comprehensive. Comprehensive, when you're talking about comprehensive, we are talking about details.
Human
Yeah.
sexuality.
Human
Starting
sexuality.
from even the body,
The anatomy
the anatomy of the body, everything from that
everything.
childhood.
What
Yes.
this thing functions,
Yes, what
how
it does.
does it function? That is comprehensive, so that this child grow up knowing that.
Their rights.
Yeah, exactly. So if we are still looking for an entry point, because we are still looking for an entry point as Africa, so that we embrace this, so that we see how it can then affect the statistics that are skyrocketing. Another thing we should advocate for, even if it is a post-abortion care,
Yeah.
safe.
Yes.
And
It has happened.
let's always remember
It
the
has happened.
affordability too.
We are working with an organization that provides a post-abortion care for safe for ladies, for young women who have done it
Unsafely.
unsafely.
Yeah, I think I'm a bit concerned about time now, so we'll just run on. Let me start with you. So, what would you like to see on this subject? What would you like to see done more by government? Perhaps your government.
What I would like to say is to let the states adopt a national comprehensive sexuality education policy. In this case, where abortion is legalized.
Is that a recommendation by the youth?
Definitely, we did a survey. We did a recent survey in pursuit of the comprehensive sexuality education policy, and interestingly, the youth had to, they did express their view, and these were some of the concerns, and which I'm glad that I'm using this forum to share it with a larger audience. So the government, if the government could have such a policy, I believe the statistics of young people getting into unsafe abortions would really reduce drastically. And in addition to this, it should be accessible and affordable as well. So
Victor, what would you like to see
Well,
government doing in Africa?
as we are talking about demographic dividends, all the governments must be able to repeal the laws, legislation, and policies that impede on the rights of women and the young people to access sexual and reproductive health and rights, and including unsafe abortion. And we also need to take cognizance of the fact that we are looking at even the young people living with disability, and therefore we need to have a comprehensive package that takes care of them and embrace the comprehensive abortion care principle.
Kemi,
Well, I think for me, my two things I would like government to do, especially Nigerian government, one is to repeal the law, just like Victor had said earlier, because the reality is that the law in place is not necessarily helping to reduce the number of young people and women in general that are procuring abortion. And two, if that law is not going to be repealed, I think right now, as we are in the country, we need to expand significantly the number of post-abortion care service providers in the country, so that even as young people and as women are getting unsafe abortion, they have a place to go where their lives can be saved, and this will help to reduce our high maternal mortality ratio, which is the highest in Africa.
thank you. Irene,
Okay,
what would you like to see government doing in
What
Africa?
I'd like
to
to
Af-
say is that I'm still talking about safe abortion for young people. Their daughters.
But you argued that
Yes.
there is no safe
No,
abortion.
that's a different thing entirely. I was saying
But that's
that
what you
in
said
the
in your
medical condition, in the medical
There's no
field,
safest-
okay, there is no safest way to carrying out an
Okay, go ahead. So
operation.
what
That's
would you
what,
like to see
that's
government
what the
do?
medical doctor will tell you. But what I like to see is, the government do is create safe abortion centers, and especially because of this point, which is for those young people who fall victims, okay, to our to the ill behaviors of men, sexual harassment and all that. You know, they should review the policy of abortion, okay, because it's not legalized, but then there are some few considerations. Okay, this could be one of the considerations. Okay, young people who fall victims to rape, blah blah blah, should be given the opportunity to carry out safe abortion, and that's because I believe.
A lot of a married woman that got pregnant. That
No, I'm not here to talk about. Sorry, I'm really not. I'm talking for young people right now.
Okay.
Those between this age bracket.
For the young
I
people
think
that are married,
I spoke
is
for
it?
those people.
Okay, so you're speaking for the ones that are not married.
Yes, the ones that are married, the younger people. That's my take here, because I believe that they have a lot of future ahead of them, and if they do not want to be mothers here because they feel it might interfere with their ambitions, then we should give them that route, because they're going to greatly contribute to the economic development when they are in the right frame of mind. And that still brings me back to the fact that I still would say that in all of this education and information that we're carrying out, let it be that abstinence is still the number one thing, because that's the safest way. Thank you.
And clothes.
Yes,
What would you like to see government doing?
honestly, we have discussed so many things, and I think that Africa has yet to exploit its potential. You're still yet to do so many things. One key thing I want to tell us is increase in budgetary allocation. When the budget increases the budget allocation of health, which in turn may affect reproductive health, that will lead to number one, increase in education. And when we have that budgetary allocation, when we increase it actually, then we realize that we are going to have education. These facilities that we have, these facilities that will provide for safe abortion, for this education will be there. But only if as an African continent or our leaders increase the allocation to budget. And then in turn, we need to increase also. When it goes to the budget to health, then let us not stick to health and let it not go to HIV and any other thing. Let it go to reproductive health issues that particularly affect young people.
Thank you very much for that. Well, ladies and gentlemen,
Thank you,
very
George.
much for coming.
Thank you.